before the thunder of tanks, before the whistle of arrows, before even the whisper of gunpowder. Fear sometimes came on full legs. It began as a low growl, felt in your ribcage before you heard it in your ears. The battlefield was already a storm. Iron on, iron screams rising like smoke. But then a shadow broke free from the Roman line. It was low to the ground, moving fast, faster than a man could run, and aimed straight at you. The glint of bronze at its neck, the flash of white teeth. In that moment, you understood you were not facing a unyielding. Rome's enemies feared the Canis Pugnax. Not because it was an animal, but because it was a soldier that never hesitated, never bargained, never knew fear. The scrolls of Roman history are filled with the names of emperors, generals, and war machines. But somewhere between the lines, there is a shadow. The Canis Pugnax was not a camp pet. It was not a hunter's companion. It was Rome's living weapon, part guardian, part executioner, part battlefield scout. From the northern forests of Germania to the deserts of Africa, these dogs were the silent, watchful sentinels that guarded the empire's beating heart. They fought in the arena as gladiators. They patrolled the perimeters of night camps in hostile lands. And when war horns sounded, they marched shoulder to shoulder with legionaries' brothers in arms, bound not by coin, but by something deeper. Loyalty without condition. The Canis Pugnax was not born in Rome. Its ancestry runs back to the jagged mountains of Epirus, a land of shepherds, raiders, and kings. Here roamed Molossus, a dog so large that ancient writers claimed it could bring down lions. Aristotle praised its courage. Virgil, the poet, described them as guardians that fear not. The spears of the foe. These dogs were not bred in kennels. They were forged in hardship, chasing off wolves in winter snow, standing their ground against bears in forest clearings, or running at the side of warriors in tribal skirmishes. When Roman armies swept into Greece, they saw the Molossus not as a curiosity, but as potential. The Romans were masters of improvement, weapons, tactics, and even animals. They began importing Molossians to Italy, crossbreeding them with Italian Mastiffs for size and stability, Celtic war dogs for aggression and stamina, Germanic hounds for tracking ability. The goal was simple: create the perfect war dog, one that could sprint, wrestle a man to the ground, guard a camp, and follow orders like a trained soldier. By the late Republic, that dog had a name: Canis Pugnax, the combat dog. Training a Canis Pugnax was as intense as training a new lead. Day one, the dog was bonded with its handler, sleeping in the same tent, eating from the same rations. Trust was the foundation. Without it, the dog could not be commanded under fire. Command drills. Trainers taught the dogs to respond only to specific Latin orders or hand signals. Enemy shouts or whistles meant nothing. Pain resistance, using padded poles and blunted weapons. Handlers would simulate combat blows, teaching the dog to ignore pain and focus on its target. Shield drills. Dogs learned to leap over shields to reach an enemy as a face or neck attacked it, especially feared by tribes relying on shield walls. Guard training. At night, the dogs patrolled the castra's perimeter, silently alerting handlers to movement long before human sentries noticed. March endurance. With small leather packs on their backs, they carried supplies, messages, or medical bandages, sometimes covering 30 to 35 kilometers in a single day. Immersive POV. The handler's morning. You wake before dawn. The camp is still. Beside you, the warm weight of your dog shifts, ears twitching at a distant sound. You scratch his neck, the bronze collar cool under your fingers. By the time the sun rises, you will march together through mud, over hills, past corpses. He will not ask why, he will simply follow. The Canis Pugnax was not deployed in every battle. It was a precision weapon used where terrain, darkness, or surprise attacks demanded an edge. Battle of Versailles 101 BC. Facing the Cimbri, Roman scouts reported enemy war dogs chained to their camps. The Cimbri unleashed them in a lust. desperate defense. The Romans, inspired, began breeding their own for such roles. The Dacian Wars 101 to 106 AD. On the Danube frontier, legionaries in Canis Pugnax worked as sentries, often intercepting night raids before they reached camp. One recorded account tells of a dog killing 2 infiltrators before soldiers even woke. The Siege of Jerusalem 70 AD. Dogs ran messages between besieging Roman camps, dodging arrows and sling stones. Gladiator, one such dog, made his final run with a spear in his side, delivering a critical order before collapsing. Caesar's campaign in Gaul 52 BC. At Alicia, a dog named Nero leaped into battle when Gauls broke through a section of palisade, dragging down a chieftain until reinforcements arrived. Caesar himself reportedly fed the dog from his own hand that night. Wa? Istrus. And in Rome's harshest campaigns, trust was not always found in men. Many legionaries wrote home about their dogs, sometimes more than they wrote of their comrades. Marcus Flavius, stationed in Germania, described his dog Rufus. He wakes before me. He walks beside me. If I fall, he will not return. I think he is the better soldier. There are graves found in Roman outposts marked with inscriptions to dogs, buried with collars and even small offerings of meat. Some are honored with the title Miles Soldier. These animals didn't fight for glory. They fought for the man whose scent they knew, whose voice they obeyed, whose life they would defend until their last breath. Tigris of Thrace, presented to Emperor Trajan after surviving 3 arena battles against lions. Retired to guard the imperial family. Lupa, known for leaping onto Germanic chariots and pulling drivers to the ground. Buried with full military honors. Cassius Hound, during a patrol in Battania, this unnamed dog detected an ambush in heavy fog. Cassius lived. Every man in his unit lived. The dog didn't. In Rome's amphitheaters, Canis Pugnax faced lions, bears, and condemned criminals. The crowds roared, not out of affection, but bloodlust. The dogs were kept hungry before matches, their handlers whispering final commands before releasing the chains. Some became famous, not as soldiers, but as killers for sport. Yet, Abinere loyalty shone through. Stories survive of dogs refusing to attack fallen handlers, standing over them instead, growling at anyone who approached. By the late Empire, the Canis Pugnax faded. War changed, cavalry dominated, and fortifications replaced open field engagements. The breed was scattered, mixed with others, and its name slipped from records. By the Middle Ages, only fragments of its bloodline remained in the Neapolitan Mastiff, in Cane Corso. In the Molosser breeds of Europe, look into the eyes of a modern Cane Corso, and you might see it, that steady, unflinching gaze. Somewhere deep in its bones lies the memory of marching with the legions, of sleeping under foreign stars, of hearing the sound of a centurion's voice. History tends to remember the men who commanded, but perhaps the truest measure of loyalty is found in the soldier who never left his post, never betrayed his oath, and never asked for anything, except to stay by his master's side. Before tanks, before drones, before the roar of vengeance, Rome had shadows with teeth. If the story of the Canis Pugnax, Rome's 4-legged gladiator, moved you, give this history its place in the sunlight. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, may history never be forgotten.